Okay, so last little bit of payroll now. We're just going to look at pay runs, and I'll briefly mention timesheets as well. So, um, silly as this may sound, because we're running through the videos in order, if for any reason you didn't catch the last video, please go back and watch it because it talks in detail about creating employees, pay items, and all of these are essential before you can do pay runs. So I'm going to go into pay run now and just have a look and put through a pay run to give you an idea of how it looks. So again, at the top here, I've got a help with a great little video I can click on to give me an overview of what's going on with pay runs. I'm going to hide that back for the moment. I've got a draft pay run at the top. So when you run a pay run, if you're putting in everybody's hours, putting in pension or super information, and get distracted, potentially the phone rings or you get partway through and have to move to another task, you can save that pay run as a draft and go back into it at any time later if you need to. In this case, I'm not going to pick this one up because it's out of the demo company and I'm not quite sure how far along it's got, but I'm going to go into add a new pay run. So again, first thing I get here is my calendars, same as we talked about in the settings earlier. So because of the calendars and the correct setup, the system knows the next run for each one. So it knows that the next week is the week ending the 21st, the next fortnight is the fortnight ending the 28th. I can also do unscheduled pay runs if potentially somebody got missed off or there's some commissions to pay or something along those lines. So for the moment, I'll go in and just do a weekly calendar on this one. May seem fairly obvious, but just to point out, only those employees that are on the weekly calendar will show up because that's the one I've selected. So here I can see I've got Odette and Tracy. Tracy's got nothing come through to here, and I can see a summary of Odette's earnings as well. Up the top here I can see a summary of the entire pay run. At the bottom I can add a payslip message for this particular run, so if it's coming to the end of the financial year I could remind people, or if I need to put a particular message on. I can delete this pay run if I need to. I can reset it if I've changed information and want to go back to the default. I can post this pay run, so that will take it out of draft and we'll go through the process of creating the bill. Or I can view a few reports relating to this particular pay run. So all of those should be fairly self-explanatory. So in this case, I'm just going to go into Odette first. And because I've set Odette up with some standard hours and a standard rate, it's pulled through here and given me a total. So this is similar to what I did with Daniel in our previous video. So in this case, maybe Odette's worked a few extra hours in this period. So I'm just going to go through and give a few extra hours. The tax will adjust with that as well. The super fund will also adjust. And one thing you may or may not have noticed there is because of the complex calculations required, when you change some information in the rates at the top, it can take a few seconds just to update tax and pension information. Just watch out for that one, because again, I've had feedback from clients that have said it doesn't appear to be changing. So just for a practical example there, just note this is $108 at the moment. So I'm just going to change this rate to $30. The total changes, and just wait and watch, and the PAYG changes there. So it just takes a few seconds to flow through each time you're doing it. So I've got payment information and annual leave information down the bottom. I can now save this video, or I can save a next to go on to the next employee. So now I've got Tracy's information in here. Now Tracy's got a rate saved but doesn't have any set hours. So in this one I'm going to have to enter the hours because I haven't put a timesheet in prior to this particular pay run. So I'm going to put 38 hours in for Tracy. Again, I'll give it 2 seconds and just wait for the tax and the super to come through. And then I'll drop to the bottom and save. So now I can go back out to this particular pay run, double check my summaries and everything balances, and when I'm ready I can post this pay run through. One quick thing to note when you've posted the pay run is there's a drop down here that you will need to create a draft bill and then approve that bill so you can reconcile it in your banking. There's also a couple of options here to download an ABA file if you use that with your bank, or to email the pay slips to the employees as well. For the moment, because this is the demo system, I'm not going to create the draft bill. I'm just going to leave that at that. So the other area I wanted to look at was timesheets. So I go up to the payroll tab and down to timesheets. As I did mention once before, timesheets do come through automatically if you've got employees set up on the portal. In this case, I haven't, so I'm going to manually add a timesheet in. So in this case, I'm just going to pick James. Oh, sorry, apologies there. And it just reminds me that I need to pick a particular period, so I'm going to pick the next fortnightly period. And now this area here is all fairly self-explanatory. As with any other timesheet, all I have to do is put an earnings rate in, and then just tab through and enter the amount of hours that James has worked for this particular period. And then I can approve this sheet. So timesheets are as simple as that. One other trick again from a query I've had from clients, this is obviously just the 1 week, but we're on a fortnight ending. You have got little forward and backward arrows here that you can click through the 2 timesheet weeks. So just be aware of that one, because I've saved this back. If I had wanted to enter in the 2nd week, I'd now have to revert this back to a draft. But I'm going to save and close out of this for the moment. So because this is a fairly lengthy section, I'll just go back over. So we went through and looked at the payroll overview tab. We then set up some employees after doing their pay items in the settings. Just in this video, we've run through a pay run, and we've also looked at some of the timesheet information as well. So hopefully this has given you a really good overview of the payroll information.